Hi everyone! Easter is around the corner, so I thought we had to do some Easter chicks and some Easter eggs. So grab your paints and let's get started. So we're going to start this tutorial just with a little chat about this watercolour set that I've been sent that I'm going to review for you today. It's by a company called Artistro, and this is their premium quality watercolour paint set that they've sent me. So I've had a go with this already because I like to make sure that something is really good before I share it with you, because I don't want to waste your time. So we have got, I really struggled getting this out the other day. Okay, it's cool. So we have got many colours here, a real range, including some metallic ones, which is what I'm most excited about. So as I said, I had a go with this prior to filming, and they have put together one of these really handy little colour charts that I love and allowed me to colour in the swatches of the colour. So I've got that ready before I sort of dive into this, because it's that age-old problem with watercolour paint that it always looks a little more intense and dark in the pans before it goes onto the page. Now, my only slight complaint is that the order of the colours on this is actually different to the order of colours in there, but handily I do have this. So these and these match up, so I was able to make sure the names of the colours matched up. But that aside, the colours are really vibrant and beautiful. They've even got some fluorescent colours here. And then in the lid we've got a little rubber, a brush, a pencil, and a water pen, which is not something that I do with you guys yet, but it might be something we look at in future. And then a little sponge, which can either be a really useful sort of tool or can also be quite useful for blotting your brush off. So today I'm going to use these paints and we're going to see how they look. Again, the only other thing that's missing from this palette is somewhere to mix my colours. So I've got my ceramic palette ready. So let's get ourselves set up and let's paint some Easter chicks and Easter eggs. Easter is coming up and it's a great excuse to paint some lovely little speckled eggs and some Easter chicks as well, because we all enjoyed painting our chickens. And so I am going to do a lovely loose watercolour tutorial showing you how to paint some of these, and we're going to do a fun little series of some chicks hatching out of their eggs. Now I'm afraid the egg I'm going to paint is probably not the exact type of egg that this kind of chick would come out of, but I just thought it would be so sweet to do a nice little speckled egg. So again, because I'm using a new watercolour set, I'm going to refer to these colours I'll use the names that they're called in here, but essentially they are pretty much the same types of colours that I've been using in my palette. So I'm just picking up some deep yellow, which is like a cadmium yellow colour, and I've got it nice and wet in my palette. And I also want to get some orange mixed up, and this is going to make up the little Easter chicks that we've got going. So I've got a sort of nice pale orange, which is quite nice here. So we just have to wake up our pans of paint. You get an awful lot in this watercolour set, but it does mean that they're quite small and quite close together. So if you're a messy painter like me, chances are you might end up getting a bit of mess into the other palette. Right, so I'm going to take my size 4 brush first, but I know a lot of you ask me about if I'm ever doing pencil drawing to do it heavier, and today in fact we're not really requiring any pencil, but I thought it'd be really handy to just draw for you the shapes that I'm painting quite heavily. So we're going to start with an Easter chick front on, and essentially that comes from painting a nice big sort of ball of yellow with a head on top that's really sort of squat and set down. And then wings are like that, and then we've got feet like that. So you start off with a circle, add a squashed sort of circle oval shape that overlaps on the top of the head, 2 curves for wings, and 2 little stick legs. So let's go. Like I said, we're going to go straight in with our paintbrush and just go for it with this one. So I'm going to pop this one here. So nice, oh lovely sunny yellow colour. Here comes the circle. And then going in with that head, and it's very important that head doesn't sort of protrude too far up, because these baby chicks, they're real little fluff balls. So then we're going to get a wing either side, and that's nice. Now what I quite like to do at this point is maybe just sort of fluff the edges just a little bit of a frill, because these chicks are so fluffy. So I'm just making sure that the edge isn't completely smooth. And I'm also going to pick up a little bit of a brown. I'm going to go for a bit of burnt sienna and some brown ochre, which is a little bit cooler. Get rid of most of it off my brush, and just on the underneath here, and also, and this will almost disappear into nothing, but it's kind of useful, a little bit of a chin. And now I'll get my smaller brush, which is a 2/10, and get my orange. And I've got my 2 little stalk legs. I like to do 2 little lines. There we go. And we are going to wait for the face to dry before we finish off with a nose, what am I talking about? A beak and some eyes. Okay, so I'm going to paint a little chick from the side now. So this time, if we're looking at the pencil shape, we still start with a big round body, but this time the head is off here. Imagine the wings there, and just the tiniest little tail. And legs always come surprisingly far back. Okay, pop that up there, and we keep going. So starting with that nice big ball of golden little chick, and that head just poking off the side, and then a little tail. See, I like to sort of fluff around and sort of mess about with it a little bit. And then we'll just let it sort of sit in, and then I'm going to add a little bit of brown just to the bottom, to the tail, and a little bit of wing, but gosh, it's so blended, it's going to really sort of run about. And then getting some orange, and remember putting those legs really sort of quite far back. It's little details like that, that even though this is a really loose watercolour painting, we want to get a realistic pose, you know? Okay, so as I said, we are going to let these dry. Now, the age-old question of which came first, the chicken or the egg. Well, we've painted the chick first, so I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but it looks like we've solved the problem. But I am now going to paint in a few lovely little eggs, and I've chosen what is referred to, it's just out of shot here, as light green. It's a sort of viridian, yeah, light green, and it's quite a turquoisey colour, and I really like it. Now, an egg shape is something that I think a lot of people find a little bit intimidating to paint. Now, I'm just going to go straight in and paint this one, because I think the way I do it is probably the most helpful way, to just go straight in with the paint. So size 2 brush, still, no, 4, beg your pardon, size 4. So we've got quite a large brush. I've got a sort of an amount of wet paint on the brush, and I am going to just try painting an outline. at least one side, and then I can sort of come back and tidy it up. And if it looks more like a potato than an egg, that's totally cool. The great thing with watercolour is you can just go back in, smooth things out and reshape, and that is looking much more egg-like. Now, clean off your brush, keep it wet, and then this is one of the beauties of this, is we can now create a lovely rounded shape by taking the water off our brush, taking the colour off as well, and just drawing that colour inwards into the centre, which gives us a lovely rounded shape. Now I am keen to put in a little bit of darkness in with this. So I've got a lovely kind of dark, very dark teal colour, and I'm also going to take some nice sort of deep blue as well. Well, a bit of Paynes Grey actually. Yeah, a bit of Paynes Grey will work. Now I just want to knock back the colour in this. So along the bottom, I'm going to start a few little speckles with Paynes Grey, and I am wanting them to sort of blend in. I don't want them too distinct, so I'm also just going back in with some water, because what we're going to do is we're going to build up some speckles. So we start with a faint loose watercolour, one that's going to bleed out, and then we're going to let them dry, and then we can do some more over the top. And I thought, because we've got metallic watercolours in this paint set, why don't we do a beautiful little metallic speckle on top? Okay, so we've got our eggs, we've got our chicks. How about a little chick breaking out and hatching from that egg? So let's do this on the last little gap here. So to create an egg being hatched, I like to start with the base, the bowl of the egg. So you can just do that by painting that curve, and then cleaned off the brush, and then we can just sort of make a rough broken shell by just filling it in with some water. And then we could just add some of our speckles while we're here. I like to sort of add them in clusters, don't sort of add them too evenly. It makes for a slightly more realistic looking speckled egg. Okay, and then the top, we imagine we've got a little chick in here. We could also sort of put a little bit of broken shell down there. And I'm going to picture sort of the top of an egg, and then draw that down. Might be a little bit wonky like that, that's quite nice. And then we can add in some little speckles. As I said, as these dry, then we'll start to add some more. Right, we're at the point now where we need everything to dry, so we'll just let that happen and we'll come back to it. Time to add our little chick in the egg. So I like to think of the wings popping out from the side, flapping out, and then our little ball for the middle. Just like to say, this is not a proven accurate representation of how a chick comes out of an egg. It's a little less delightful. And then we'll have the little head poking out from under the egg. A little bit of that brown. And we'll come back to you in a bit. Time to work our way through now to get some bit more detail. So I've got my Paynes Grey here, which is a lovely colour. It's not one that's in my regular palette, but it really should be because it's a really nice bluey grey colour. And now I'm just going to add a few more speckles to our egg and just get it looking a little bit more realistic. I think some people find it hard to sort of do random detail. Well, they're sort of not quite sure where to go with it. I think that's why I like to add in some of those more blended speckles to start off with, because it just gives you a bit more of a sort of a platform, I suppose. So I'm mixing, I've got a number of sort of concentrated dots and then a few slightly more dilute ones. I find doing sort of a large one and a little cluster of little ones with it is kind of nice. Also notice how when you have speckles sort of round the side, they want to be a little bit more flattened like that, as opposed to these sort of broader ones in the middle, because of course the egg is round and we want to create that sense of roundness. And I also quite like the idea of giving this egg a little bit of shadow, and Paynes Grey is a wonderful shadow colour in itself. So let's have a go, just turn it around a fraction. And so I'm just going to smooth in that shadowy edge. I think that's rather lovely. Okie dokie, so now our little Easter chick. So I am going to use some deep black, which is up here. And I'm going to use a little concentrated black eyes. And I'm just going to do little eyes like that, which have got a tiny bit of unpainted space in them, like a little bit of shine. And whilst I'm here, a little one there as well, again with a tiny bit of unpainted space which acts as a little shine. And we need a beak. So for the beak I'm going to go for a bit of orange red, which is the name of the colour in this palette, and just add it a fraction to my orange that's already there, giving myself a slight sort of terracotta colour. And just do a little triangle that's got just a little bit more of a point down for your straight on little chick, and then a little triangle from the side for your chick facing away. Now we have got one more Easter chick to finish off, so let's start with our speckles in Paynes Grey. And of course we've got our little shards as well, which can't be forgotten. And of course we're going to just add that tiny sort of edge of shadow. It just gives them a slightly crisper feel. So I'm just outlining it, cleaning off my brush, and then making sure we've got a speckle or two. Now this time I'm popping in the shadow just before I add too many more speckles to this, because we've also got the question of the shards of egg, and I'm just adding a little bit of crispness, not to the entire top of that cracked egg, but if you just add little bits to sort of almost as if you were adding a bit of shadow to one side, it just really helps create a slightly more realistic egg. And then across the top, do a similar thing, clean off the brush, and then just draw that slight bit of crispness up the side. So my verdict of the Artistro paints is they are really nice. I think they're a really nice set for a beginner, maybe a younger painter, because there's loads of colours to work with. I think the quality is a really good mid-range quality. I think they would not be suitable for someone who wanted to do big loose watercolour blends, because the way they blend is a little bit sort of awkward. But I think they're absolutely beautiful colours, and that's really, really important. And I also like that there's a large range there. So if you are in the market for a new set of watercolours and you want to find out a bit more about Artistro paints, then I have an affiliate link in the episode notes. So that means, full disclosure, that does mean I get a little bit of commission if you buy them. So, you know, we've got to be completely open about these things, and the last thing I want you to do is to go into some kind of transaction without knowing the full details. So yes, if you like them, go and have a look and see what you make of them. But also, if you're just here because you want to learn to paint some Easter chicks, then that is cool too. So we've got our little chick's face, and then we've got our beak too, because we've got about a week until Easter, so this would be perfect for maybe a little bit of Easter craft with any members of your family if we've got Easter holidays and looking for things to do. Now, the last thing we promised was a bit of metallic watercolour. So you can see down here we have got some little half pans of, I've got a copper and a bronze here. So this is metallic bronze and this is metallic copper, and they work in a very similar way to all the watercolours. They've got a slightly sort of grainy texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to sort of coat my brush with quite a lot of it, of this copper, and I am going to add a few speckles, which I've found in my experience with the metallic watercolours is it is when they dry that they really come into their own. So what we'll do is we'll finish our painting and then we'll cut to a little bit of drying time, and then we can see the metallic water shining in all its glory. I love the colour combination of a sort of turquoise and a warm coppery brown. I think that's a lovely colour combination. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll revisit it for one last look. So our chicks are all finished and dry, and now I wonder if we can see there's a tiny weeny bit of shine from the metallics. But I think you'll have to see for yourself. There are plenty of really fantastic metallic watercolours out there. The other cool thing is when you actually get some included in a metallic, in a main watercolour set. So thank you so much for watching, and happy Easter! Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that one. I want to say a big thank you to my patrons for their support, because that support enables me to keep creating these videos that everyone can enjoy. And if you enjoyed it, then hit the like button below and comment to let me know how you got on with that one. And of course, if you subscribe, then you'll never miss another video. Okay, until next time, bye!